for joining us live. We are live in a lot of places right now, mostly on Facebook. And I'm really excited about this podcast. This is the Israel Defense Podcast because this is episode 1, and we are going to drop a big bomb on everybody. A ton of information that nobody's talking about. And oddly enough, nobody's talking about this, and we need to do something about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on the grassroots level in Israel to address a big threat to civilians. And the other thing that we are going to do is we have a very special guest, which is Unit 7037, based out of the Shomron, near Shechem. And so we are going to be doing an interview with them and talking about their situation right now as well. So to get it going, just to introduce myself, my name is Israel Karanovich. I am from Harish, Israel. And I am joined here by, as you can see, Instructor X. And Instructor X cannot be named for legal reasons, but he is also the co-founder of Citizens Defense of Israel, and we are training Israeli civilians to be equipped with the sufficient training and the equipment to defend themselves and their communities. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But let's just get into it. This is episode 1, the critical threat to Israelis after October 7th. And what I want to discuss real quick is, obviously everybody's aware of October 7th and what happened on October 7th. And thus we talk about the war in Gaza often, but we don't talk about the related threat that's coming after October 7th and what the terrorist groups out there, including Palestinian Jihad, Hezbollah, even some would argue, and I'll leave this to Instructor X to discuss, even possibly the Palestinian Authority in some cases. So we're going to talk about the lingering threat that Israelis now have to prepare for and what we're doing about it. And so Instructor X is a friend of mine, and he is the lead trainer for civilians starting in Harish to get them equipped with the right skills that they need to counter the threat. This includes a lot of firearm training and anti-terrorist training. So we're going to start with Instructor X, and hopefully we can name him in the future. At the moment we can't. But maybe you can talk about what happened on October 7th. How did we even get here? How did arguably the top 10 army in the world get overpowered by 3,000 people, let's just say, or armed terrorists that charged the border? How did we even get here?
First of all, thank you for introducing us, but I'd like Daniel to my left here to be able to explain that part of the story because that is his expertise at the moment. So I'm just going to hand that to him and then we'll carry on from there.
Yeah, thank you, Israel.
By the way, Daniel, you are a surprise guest, and I just want to show a quick little information about you. You are a combat medic in Unit 7037, based out of Shechem, or near Shechem. Can you just introduce yourself real quick so that people just know who you are?
As I said, my name is Daniel Talmud. I was born in Israel, and at the age of 15, I moved to Detroit City, where my family still lives. When I was at the age of 24, I came to Israel to join the Givat Brigade, and now I'm here in this war. So
awesome. So, and thank you for your service, Daniel. It means a lot to me personally, and it means a lot to a lot of people watching. So yeah, going back to the question, how did we even get to this, for a lot of people, just bizarre situation that people by the thousands stormed the border and overpowered the IDF. How is that even? How did we even get there?
Well, I think it's a lack of preparation and maybe a little bit of arrogance because the way we see the way we have perceived Hamas so far is a small organization doesn't show any threats. They just shoot rockets from Gaza and that's it. And I think personally, we should have been more prepared because Hamas is a terrorist organization that is trying to destroy and eliminate Israel. And I think all it's talking about peace and trying to build this. They were talking about building an airport even in Gaza because try to bring that peace and everything. So I think personally there's this lack of preparation, not expecting from a small organization to actually breaking into Israel and by a storm and bunch of terrorists just coming in. So I just think they were not prepared for that. They thought they were going to make peace. That peace with what country was it? That's not Saudi Arabia. The UAE. The UAE. So they thought, okay, we're gonna solve this situation with Gaza, and I just think they were just shocked that the small organization actually attacked them. So that's pretty much that.
Okay, so I'll just come in here and explain a little bit more, and that is the plan that was initiated by Iran wasn't exactly the one that went into motion, and therefore there was a bit of a lull on the extra areas in this country. So the only thing that really happened was the attack from Gaza, which unfortunately, even though it's the only one, it was still quite significant. Now, the problem is, even though that was a massive disaster and a massive attack, and the worst attack the Jewish people have had ever since the Holocaust, the fact is there is a significant threat through the rest of the country of Israel and on the borders along the Golan, the north in Lebanon, even Jordan. Okay, so the threat that's outstanding still hasn't as yet to be addressed. It's still being dealt with altogether, albeit straining resources. So the fact is, reserve units, which are the least prioritized in the army, are experiencing it the worst, whereby even though they've had a lot of donations, the fact that the war has taken such a long toll and a long time, the donations are running dry. And because they're running dry, the Miloivniks, the reserve soldiers that are now operating, find themselves with very little equipment that is appropriate for the actual safety requirements that they need to do their jobs adequately and properly, as well as the fact that they are under-resourced with tactical gear. So tactical gear, gun sights and equipment is all a scarce resource and not easy to come by, especially financially. So this is a major problem. It's an urgent problem because only this morning there was an attack on our company, our base. A guy was shot in the head. Luckily, his helmet saved his life, and he didn't die. He didn't even get injured, and the terrorist was killed. The terrorist actually happened to be a member of the Palestinian Authority police officer.
Wow.
So it wasn't just your run-of-the-mill standard Hamas or Islamic Jihad. This was a police officer from the Palestinian Authority, which makes the situation even more complicated. So we are under an urgent threat that we have to be able to deal with, yet we are not adequately equipped. Not to mention the equipment that was donated is somewhat wrong. So, for example, the army, as you can see, is green, but a few of the vests that were donated to the army were black, which is for the police. And one of the major issues regarding having the ability to be the same color is in order for it to not have friendly fire. Okay, so it's easier to identify someone if they're all wearing the same clothing. or the same battle gear as well. All right, so
Real quick,
Yeah.
because obviously you mentioned that there were a lot of donations thus far to Army units, to reserve units, but now it's one thing. One thing to note is you just went off to your reserve unit. I think everybody who you're joined with over there is also brand new to the area, meaning that the reserve units are being cycled out. Correct? Maybe if you can
correct.
talk about that a little bit.
Well, the different units come and go, and that's because of the fact it's such a long war, and and the country can't hold people who have got jobs and families for too long. They haven't got the ability to just disappear from a job and family for 120 days and have no consequences. So that's why with the donations that were given at the beginning, that was all very nice. However, the people that received those donations have since been cycled out, but they have taken that gear home with them, which renders the people that are coming in new with nothing, which is a shame.
Right, and I just want to emphasize. Obviously, I put a link there. The landing page is live, but still, we're gonna beef it out a little bit. But it's a tax-deductible donation to Unit 7037. Can you guys talk about a little bit about where you guys are based and what you guys do, so that people can understand?
So we're based in Shem. That's part of the city part of the Palestinian Authority. What we're doing is we're doing check posts, checking cars to make sure they don't have any guns, any weapons, any terrorists coming in, coming out. The problem is there are too many cars. We're understaffed. We don't have time to check each one of them, and it's very hard to control the checkpost. That's one problem. I think the second problem is uh, the Palestinian Authority. Uh, for some reason, for years, Israeli officials, especially from the left, have said that we Abu Mazen, the Palestinian Authority president, that he is a partner, which is not, and especially we saw it. Was it today?
Yes.
Was it today? This morning, an Israeli soldier was shot by a Palestinian police officer. So we have Hamas from the south, we have Hezbollah from the north, and we also have the Palestinian Authority, which is trying to attack Israel and sending all those terrorists to attack our soldiers and civilians. And there are not enough soldiers, either reserved or the mandatory service.
So I want to take off from there, and that now brings us to why we developed the citizen defense group. And that citizen defense group was created because of what he just said, and that is the army is overstretched, the Mishmar Gvul are overstretched, the police is overstretched. This is leaving a soft center, which is the civilian population that are not part of the security establishment, yet they do have a gun because they are armed in that sense. However, they're not properly trained and not appropriately ready to deal with any serious attack. And this is where we're coming in and helping that situation by giving them the relevant training and the relevant knowledge on how to use their gun and get them equipment so they have the safest way to use any form of fight if they have to get into a fight because they have no choice, and allow them to have the minimum level of success that was never afforded to the people in the south. Okay, so we don't want that.
I just want to interrupt real quick because you, Daniel, you said something interesting, and either one of you guys can respond, which is when people think Palestinian Authority, they think of the state of Palestine and the legal official representation of Palestine on the world stage. How is it that the state of Palestine would conduct any sort of terrorism against Israelis, and what is the lurking threat that is coming to Israelis?
I think first of all that I don't think they're doing it officially. They don't actually use their army they call it police, but they actually don't call themselves police. They call themselves army. Mukhabarat. They call themselves army. They consider themselves as army. That's first of all. That's how they see themselves. And I don't think the Palestinian Authority officially declares wars against Israel, but they're encouraging terrorism, sponsoring families who, their kids have committed any kind of terrorism. Especially just recently, as I said, about the soldier, about the Palestinian soldier who shot an Israeli soldier. The Palestinian Authority doesn't actually it doesn't say officially that they send them to shoot an Israeli soldier, but they encourage it behind the scenes. So, as far as I see it, even Israeli officers tell us the Palestinian Authority are behind all of this. They want to say officially to the news because they don't want they don't want to say it officially to the news. What's going on? What?
I'm gonna get Jonathan.
Get Jonathan? Okay. They don't want to say it official to the news, but behind when we talk about in Tadrichim, the army says the Palestinian Authority is behind a lot of those things. Here's
So I want
Okay.
to. Is Uriel X there?
X, are you coming? He's bringing the Samech Mepei to talk to you.
Okay. So we have another surprise guest. We're gonna say hello
I'm
in
not
a
sure
little
he's
bit.
speak to you yet, but I'm checking on it.
All right. So
Here he is. I'm
Daniel.
going to show it to you. His name is Jonathan.
Hello.
Hi, Jonathan. Baruch
How
haba.
are you, Daniel?
Welcome. We
What's your
are
name?
just so you know we are streaming live right now, and to a lot of places actually. And this is the Israel Defense Podcast, and we know that you're a surprise guest per se. So thank you for your time. I think there's a few things going on, right? First of all, we are trying to educate people about the situation where you are. Maybe there's a misunderstanding about when people donate and get equipment for, especially for reservists and soldiers out there. There's a misunderstanding about, okay, so I donated and then this unit was equipped and then we're doing pretty good. But obviously now we are in a situation where soldiers are being cycled out, and now we have soldiers that need equipment again. So maybe you can tell us, as the company commander there, what is your situation like? What do you guys need, and what are the threats that you guys are dealing with, and the challenges you guys are doing?
Okay. So first of all, nice to meet you guys all. My name is Jonathan from Gush Etzion. I'm 31 years old. I'm married and have 2 kids. I was basically on the 7th of October with the rest of the country. We came here and we're basically in the same base since the 7th of October. I lost count. It's been like 120 days or whatever. It's been a long time for everybody, for the whole country, and also for everybody here, of course. And I'll start with the job that we do here. Our mission is to ensure the safety of the Jews who live in the Shomron area. In the Shomron area, there's a lot of Jews who live here in settlements, in Yishuvim, and there's a lot of Arab villages around who try to do terror all day long. And our mission is to protect the Jews from those terrorists. There was a sorry.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. We don't hear you.
Mute. It says I'm not on mute.
No.
But
All right, now we hear you.
Okay, so I'll just. Do you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say maybe you can speak a little bit real quick. What kinds of things are you dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so that you can paint a picture for what the life of a reservist is in Unit 7037.
For sure. So first of all, as I said, our mission is to protect the safety of all the Jews in the area. That includes 24/7. That first of all, we're here 24/7, meaning a guy goes home once a week or two for a bit, but we're here almost the whole time. And it's been like that for a very few months. Thank God. We're very proud of the work. We're happy to do it, of course. It includes going out at night to the villages here and doing. It's called matzarim when you take the terrorists from their homes. It includes going into the villages during the days. Today there was a terrorist who shot one of the soldiers in our area, and thank God the soldiers killed him. It was in the news this morning. So we deal with these things on a daily basis. It could be they try to throw rocks on civilians driving. It could be when they try to shoot. It's all these things that happen constantly, and if we're not here the whole time, so it's going to happen. That's basically what we do 24/7.
Well, Shavim, are they shooting at the
What?
Israeli villages?
I hear you a bit low. Say that again.
Where are they shooting at? It's like, Daniel told us that there are complaints. And
It says,
cars and sort of thing.
Wait, we don't hear you well over here.
You are shooting.
Israel, we cannot hear you. Israel, we can't hear you. Your volume is gone.
Interesting. Okay, so it says that my audio is live though, but okay, so you hear me now?
We hear great.
Okay, so I was just asking where are they shooting at? Where are these terrorists shooting at? Are they shooting at civilians? Are they shooting at you?
So we always prefer, and this is the way we work is we always put ourselves between the civilians and the terrorists. That's why we go into the villages. We do all these things. We stand in the crucial places to make sure that they'll come to us. We'll check them, and they won't come to the civilians. So, for example, this morning there was a terrorist who came to one of these checkposts where the soldiers check the Arabs, and over there, and a terrorist came and shot the soldier. And we're happy just that it doesn't come to the civilians. That's the main thing. As long as they're safe, we're happy and of the job. Now, unfortunately, I got to go in a minute or two. I'll just say that because that it's the length of this is very long. As I said, over 120 days. So we have a lot of guys that had to leave also for various reasons. If for family issues or each person has their own thing. So in the recent weeks, we got a bunch of new guys who came. You met a few of them before. So what happens is that we get new equipment and stuff that helps us a lot. Meaning, let's say I'll give an example. The soldier this morning was saved because he wore a helmet. If he was not wearing a helmet, he would have died. It's as simple as that. And so we have all these new soldiers who are coming in, and they also need new equipment. So I'll just say that every dollar, every shekel, every whatever it is mashmoti, is meaningful for us. It helps us. I want to thank you guys so much for all what you guys do for us. We're happy to be able to serve Am Yisrael. Thank God that we're in this position that we could do it. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll be strong. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
All right, just to correct, he was the deputy company commander.
Okay, deputy company commander. All right, so that was Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan. By the way, I'm just gonna point this out. If you got anybody listening to this, by the time you see this whole page, if you go to link.citizensdefenseisrael.org/unit 7037, you go to that link, and I'm also put up the QR code because we're fancy like that. You can just scan this with your phone or go to this link, and it's going to take you to a tax deductible page where we outline all the equipment that they need for, as the company commander mentioned, that they have a number of new soldiers in the unit, and they need to be properly outfitted. As he also just said, just to recap, that somebody was shot in the head today, and if it wasn't for that helmet being there, it could have been worse. So, Baruch Hashem, he's okay. I want to go back since we have a few minutes. I want to talk about the threat. I want to talk about the threat that is pending. It could be from future, terrorist groups or bigger kind of entities like Hezbollah, Palestinian Jihad, even the PA. And a lot of people don't think about it because they're so stuck on October 7th and this in Gaza. But really, there's a pending threat, and that is why we are
All right, so
giving civilians the tools that they need to defend their communities. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Explain if the situation continues as it is, even without the Hezbollah getting involved, we still have a big threat that we have to deal with. As our Deputy Commander Jonathan said, there's constant attacks happening on a daily basis that we are thwarting, and that's the reason why they don't get through. The only problem is, as new soldiers are coming in and old soldiers leaving out, the equipment is becoming scarce, and we desperately need it, and the army doesn't have the budget to provide for us the minimum safety level that we need. So that's the reason we need equipment that this podcast is shouting out about. Now, the threat that increases is if the Hezbollah does join into a fight, it will empower the Palestinian operations that are going on in the Shomron and all the West Bank area, and then make our situation even more complicated and difficult and more dangerous. So it doesn't make a difference which way you cut the pie. We are urgently in need of a proper tactical gear and equipment for our weapons in order to be much more efficient in doing our job, so that seconds that can be shaved off their ability of response time, which will save a lot of lives.
Yeah. Also, like we mentioned, there are a lot of Hamas members here in the PA. For example, right under the nose, the village it's called Tel. They're supporters of Hamas. They're plenty of weapons, bunch of guns. They can turn it against the idea of soldiers, even worse, the Israeli civilians. There's something you need to think about. For example, I'm not sure I said in English. Kavanot.
Weapon sights.
Sights. Okay, we don't have sight. We use the simple sights. Let me show him. This one. Okay.
Iron sights.
Iron sights. Okay, you can use it only daylight. Nighttime, you have to use the it's called the M5, which is laser thing.
Okay.
We don't have that.
So we need a red dot sight. Is what
Red dot sight.
The red dot sight allows you to acquire a sight picture much quicker, or exponentially quicker than the iron sight, especially in the dark. In the dark, obviously, iron sight you can't see anything. So a red dot sight allows you to acquire a sight picture much quicker in daylight, and especially at nighttime, it allows you to see something to target with. Okay, so that kind of ability, which increases the speed with which you acquire a sight or a target, is the difference between getting a shot off and killing the terrorist, or the terrorist getting a shot off and killing us. Correct. That's just one piece of equipment. The next piece of equipment.
It's a very critical piece of equipment, right? Because if you can't see your target, it becomes extremely difficult.
You see the target, but to acquire the sight on the target quickly, it is infinitely faster with a red dot than it is with an iron sight in the daylight. In nighttime, the iron sight is impossible.
Right.
We've lost we can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes, now.
Yeah.
Okay, so then also we need level 4 bulletproof plates, not 3 or 3A, 3+, because level 4 is protection against 7.62 millimeter caliber, which is what the Kalashnikov weapon, it's the choice of weapon that the Palestinians use, or the terrorists use anyway, specifically. And having a level 3 plate isn't going to stop the 7.62 bullet, which means the safety isn't actually there. And that's some of the people that have plates, that's what they've got. So it's like a false sense of security.
Right, I understand. Do you want to just describe some of the things that we're fundraising for? You mentioned 2. Is there any big things to point out in terms of equipment? We got plates, we have sights. What are some of the other big things that people need to be aware about that a soldier needs?
I can
Uh,
say the simplest thing: bullets. There are not enough bullets. As simple as that. So we don't get to train as much as we
Need.
need to because we don't. We're out of we're out of bullets. We have to preserve them for actually to fight with them. So that's one major thing that we, we need money for.
We have detailed list. It's a bit
right.
lengthy just to list it off on this podcast, but the detailed list is comprehensive. But it has also been cut in order to save money, so to speak. So we've prioritized on the most critical items that is needed urgently on this list, as opposed to what we actually want. What we want, obviously, we would like more. Like we need tactical clothing, like tactical clothing that you can see some individuals have got because they were lucky to get them.
Like
But
this guy.
like this guy upstairs, he's got tactical clothing on. But here you can see I'm wearing just regular army
Me
gear,
too.
and he is too,
Yeah.
which is okay. But the tactical gear is the new standard that's going on in this
It's much
in,
more
in the
comfortable.
army, more comfortable and easy to work with. Okay, but that we haven't
Right.
put that on the list, put it on the list because it's not critical.
So just for everybody to understand, go to this link that you see right there. You're going to see that list that we are fundraising for. And we're looking at this point to outfit 15 soldiers fully, 15 of the new soldiers that are joining the unit, either already or soon. And so I highly encourage and ask everyone to don't wait, check it out. Even donating $5 is better, is more helpful in the grand scheme, because if 100 other people donate $5, that does something. So don't think just because I can only donate some, however much I can donate, that's a reason not to donate. There's people, obviously soldiers are putting their lives on the line. They have families. Both of these gentlemen are probably in the 30s or 40s, and so with kids, and so we want to keep them safe for sure.
We've also got
Uh,
another spontaneous guest. His name
okay.
is David.
Hello. Hi
Hi,
guys.
David. How are you doing?
Great. Well, actually, I'm one of the new recruits that
That we've been talking about.
that we were talking about. I arrived just a few hours ago. Already
Oh,
managed to. Yeah, yeah. I just arrived from Tel Aviv. Actually, I live in Tel Aviv by the sea, and I was just got dismissed from almost 120 days in reserve, and should return here in 2 months. But I decided to keep the. We still have a lot of job to do, so I arrived voluntarily, although my unit is still not here. Um, so yeah, the only thing I see here, I've been in reserves service for the past 18 years, so it's not new to me. But still, I must admit that for me, with all my experience, I arrived to a place where they're making an amazing job, a dangerous job. We are surrounded by hostile environment, and just for you guys to remember, I want you to remember we are all here basically farmers. Some of us might not look like, but we are farmers. We used to be, of course, a lot younger and stronger, but this war, we just all standing up for our families back home, uh, and we will keep doing so. Uh, into our 40s. Actually, yesterday, a new law in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, is about to be improved that men, citizens, will keep serving in active duty in reserves until the age of 45. So this is my 40, and I was supposed to be released this year, already covering 120 days and counting. So I just arrived to this new amazing unit. The people got
He welcomed me in an amazing way. I already feel at home with these very special people, and I have my own proud unit, of course. Uh, but still, I don't feel like I'm in a strange place with these amazing people,
Can I
and
hear?
I feel safe in this very,
Wait,
very
can-
hostile environment.
Can you hear? Can you hear? We can't hear you.
I think we
We
just can't
cannot
speak.
hear you.
So I just want to mention something. You said, did you say, did I understand you correctly, that you were already in Miloim? You had already been
Yes,
there. Where were you?
So at October 7th, me and my unit, we jumped to the south of Israel. No, no. Yes, I have to go to the main officer here to speak with him because he's not knowing me. But yes, my unit was released. They will join again, but in the meantime, I decided I don't want to be released and I want to keep this privilege of protecting my country, my people. Like everybody, I'm no better than anybody else here. That I can sit in my nice apartment in the beachfront apartment and not joining the guys here. I just couldn't stand by.
Wow. I'm really glad you're here because I think it's a testament to the type of people there, the quality of people, the values of the people. You know, you could have stayed. You could have stayed in Tel Aviv. You didn't have to be in the uh, unpleasantries of having your life at stake. I just want to understand, Dave. Are you also in need of equipment?
Well, for me, you won't hear this from me. We will win with or without equipment. But what I saw today and heard today that a soldier got a bullet uh, into the forehead of his helmet. This helmet was not issued by the IDF, unfortunately. So I am not in need, but this helmet just saved a soldier life, and the life of our friends are very, very important to us.
Wow. Yeah.
Our
Well,
fellow, our
thank
fellow
thank you so much,
soldiers.
David. That's so much. That's so valuable, and appreciate you protecting Israel. Thank you so much.
Can I interject? Basically, what he's trying to explain is that the army does provide equipment. It's not that they don't. It's just equipment is subpar. Okay. So, for example, he's quoting the helmet that this guy was wearing today was not supplied by the army. It was a donation. And the
Wow.
reason why it was a better form of helmet is because the army budget covers X amount, X standard, and the donations went a little bit on the higher side. It's that higher side standard that from that donation which saved this guy's life.
Even this coat is a donation.
Right, even this coat that he's wearing is a donation. Okay. The reason why, and also the army also provides us with vests, but the vests they provide us do not come with armored plates for protection. So they're pretty useless because if you get shot, you have absolutely zero protection. This is why they need armored plates, vests, which can protect against 762 millimeter bullets rather than 556 and 9 millimeter, because the enemy is actually shooting us with 762 bullets, not 9 millimeter or 556.
Can
So
you
the
speak
army
a little bit?
doesn't provide.
How do they even get their guns? How do they get these Kalashnikovs to shoot you with such high-powered weaponry?
Uh, this some of the weapons they smuggle in from Jordan. They have some weapons they probably stole from soldiers or for criminal families in Israel.
Wow.
And just honestly, some of them I'm not even sure. They just have a bunch of weapons, bunch of ammunition in the PA. Almost every Palestinian has a gun. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Okay, can I just we have to wrap it
Outgun
up.
Israelis?
Excuse me.
Can you say that they, in some ways, outgun Israelis? Do they have more weapons?
So, yeah, I would say that for sure. They outgun Israel. Almost each one of them has guns.
Can I just say we have to wrap this up because we've got to go.
They also
Okay.
manufacture their own guns in
So
they
I
manufacture
just
their
want
own
to
guns in their houses. So It's not that
Oh,
hard to make a gun. You don't
right,
have to
right,
make
I understand.
just some random stupid gun or whatever. But it's a gun. It can kill people.
Right, exactly. Right, I understand. I understand they have all kinds of weaponry, so some of it's good, some of it's not so good, but it's all a threat. So I just want to end. First of all, Daniel, thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing the situation there. Again, the link is down below. I just want to end real quick, just a few minutes with X, Instructor X. X, can you just share what, just in some final minutes, what we're trying to achieve with the training civilians defense and anti-terrorist defense specifically, and why? And then we'll just leave it at that.
But the civilians have no way to defend, to learn how to train the way that they need to train in order to defend themselves, the way that the attack is going to happen to them. The type of attack or the style of attack that is potential threat to the civilian population is leagues above what the civilian population that are armed have any way of dealing with. So we are trying to close the bridge or bridge the gap between the terrorist threat that is on hand and the civilian or the armed civilians' defense capability. So we're trying to improve it. We're trying to make it a lot more effective, a lot more efficient, so that when the terrorists do come and attack a civilian, the civilian is a lot more ready, a lot more capable, a lot more efficient and effective with the weapon that they have and with the knowledge of war of let's say fighting, and therefore the statistical chance of survival for the civilian has been increased dramatically or exponentially, and the chances of the terrorist attack being successful have reduced exponentially. That's the whole purpose of that. And then you've got the army that we are in right now, as you can see, which is leading the front end of that entire stick, so to speak.
Right. So the idea is to make sure obviously the army deals with the bulk of the threat, but sometimes we all know that the threat comes to the civilian population as well, and we want to prepare the civilian population to have the means to defend themselves, because in the end of the day, the goal of the mechablim, the terrorists, are to bring terror and to kill people regardless of whether they're civilian or not. And we saw that on October 7th, and we're preparing for a future where that's not the reality. I want to thank both of you guys out there near Shechem for joining us today. At least for me, you brought a lot of value in, and I'm sure for the audience as well. So I just want to just recap a few links here. If you want to hear more about what we're doing with Citizens Defense for Israel, you can go to the link below. Also, you can go to the QR code if that's easier. It's right here. And this is the organization that X and I founded to teach civilians how to defend their communities and themselves against terrorist threats. That's files.citizensdefenseisrael.org/brochure. And we have a whole online brochure that details a lot more about that and what our goals are. You could also scan that QR code. And then also, just to recap, Unit 7037, based out of the Shomron, based out of near Shechem, who are protecting the Israeli civilians out there from multiple threats. As we saw this morning, even the people who are new didn't get a break, and they got pushed into action real quick.
Israel,
Sorry,
can I
go
just
ahead.
clarify? I'd like to clarify that yes, it's Unit 7037, but we are Company Gimel.
Company Gimel. Okay. So thanks for that, making that clarification. And we are running this campaign Again, it's tax deductible, fully tax deductible, and we are running this campaign to outfit 15 soldiers as much as we can. And God bless everyone out there, and be safe.
If,
I'm
if
gonna
it's
leave.
possible, we'd like to outfit a bit more, but you know,
Oh,
we
please.
people we can get.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you say you wanted to add a little bit more?
If it's possible, we'd like to outfit more soldiers than 15, but we're starting with 15, which is a platoon. And if they can be at least one platoon that's fully equipped to the highest level of safety and security for what the task that we're afforded to do, then we'll obviously try to get the rest of the people kitted out correctly. Not to say that every single person here needs this extra help, but obviously there is a good deal of people, which is good, maybe a 50 in total, that are missing the right equipment. But we're starting with 15 to begin with, and if we can get that 15 done, then we'll try for the rest. And if we can do that, that'll be amazing.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
So again, here's the link. link.citizensdefenseisrael.org/unit 7037. You can go to that link day or night right now. Put in $5. Share it with your friends. That you see how critical this is. Somebody this morning was just shot at their head. And if it wasn't for this donated a helmet, then who knows what it could have been. So we need to get these guys outfitted ASAP. This is critical. So again, I'm gonna just is there anything you want to supplement or end with, X or
No,
Daniel?
we've got to go. We have to go. We have to go.
All right, so
Yeah.
but go ahead and log off, and I'll just leave a few ending words. So thank you guys, and see you guys later.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good
Yeah.
night.
Good night.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good night. Be safe, guys. God bless. So I'm just gonna end it here real quick. I don't know. Let's see. Is there anybody in the chat? I didn't even check the chat. But obviously there's the chat. Would have liked to do a QA, but obviously it's really late, and a lot of those guys have to wake up at 6 in the morning. I want to just share something. Obviously, I know X, and he can't share his name because he's part of another unit that works inside Israel. I want to just talk about a little bit more about what we're doing and why. The threat against Israelis, specifically Israeli civilians, was made clear to me about 2 years ago, in May of 2021, I guess a little bit more than 2 years ago. We knew that after I saw the riots, the Arab riots, the police response was abysmal. It was up to 4 hours, sometimes even longer in some cases. And these are not, these are in cities within Israel. This is not even in PA territory or anything like that. And I realized that people needed to have the means to defend themselves. Because it's not acceptable to wait for police up to 4 hours for police to address an issue. And thus I started working with slowly I got in touch with X, and I realized he had some similar ambitions and goals. And so we started very slowly formulating what you see today as Citizens Defense of Israel. And again, I'm going to put, if you want to learn more about that, here's our online brochure. The website is in progress. We have already started. We are not waiting for anything. We already have students. We are teaching people to be effective and proficient with a handgun, which is the arm that you can get readily here. Glocks and Sig Sauers and that sort of thing. You get a license. You go through a very ill done training. Very short, ill done training. There's no proficiency whatsoever to get your weapon. So we fill that void. We are a nonprofit, and we are filling that void. We are giving people the means to be a last means of defense against any terrorist attacks. And that goes to mention about the future terrorist attacks. And that's what I really wanted to focus. Obviously, the focus on Unit 7037 was a little bit abrupt. We didn't plan that too much, but it was a more imminent need that needs to be addressed. That we have rotating reservists that are ill-equipped and need to be equipped ASAP. So, just to end the podcast, there is a threat. A lot of people want to say that October 7th was both the beginning and the end. It is not the end. It was simply the wake-up call. It is simply a materialization of what the actual threat is, and it's not a threat that's secluded to Gaza or Hamas. The truth is, in many ways, we got lucky, because the true the true plan was for Hezbollah and Hamas and other entities to attack all at once, and for reasons that we won't discuss on today's podcast, it did not happen that way. And so they attacked early. Obviously, it was during the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah, when people were even more laxed about things and in different headspace. So the goal is, we want to train 6,000 Israeli citizens this year, mostly across the northern areas of Israel, and in 2025 expand to 3 times more, and then more and more and more, until people have the training and the education and the arms that they need to fully defend themselves. We're not a militaristic organization. We just want to give people the capacity to defend themselves, as and live in a safe environment for themselves and their kids, just like anybody would want, right? Obviously, it's not a political discussion. It's just reality. It's just anybody would want safety, and the laws in Israel regarding arms and weapons are very strict. So nobody's talking about doing something stupid. We are giving people tactical training and arms proficiency, so that to make it safer. Part of the reason is to make it safer because the rate of friendly fire is so high. People get tunnel vision so much, and that happened, unfortunately, on October 7th. Nobody wants to talk about it, but dozens of people were killed because of friendly fire, and within all that chaos. So, again, learn more about what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. It's at files.citizensdefenseisrael.org/brochure. I'm also going to put up the QR code right here. So you can pause this, scan it with your phone, and that way you don't have to type anything. So we're excited. The podcast, and I'm just going to put that up, and then we're going to close things here. The podcast is new. This was obviously episode 1, and we're going to be highlighting a lot of current events, defense information, the situation in Israel. We're going to be Obviously, we are involved in military inside the reserves in other units. So we want people to understand what the situation is in Israel, and we are going to daylight that to you, and a lot of things that aren't being discussed. So again, the goal of this was to talk about what is the future threat to Israelis, not just what happened on October 7th. And that's why we had we talked a little bit about that, but we also wanted to highlight Unit 7037, since our lead instructor did have to go back to reserves of the IDF. And it looks like the chat is not working. That's okay. Put your comments in the video, and that way we can answer them. We can have a conversation going if maybe something was unclear. I'm going to just, before I head out, donate to Unit 7037, and so that's link.citizensdefenseisrael.org/unit 7037. By the way, we found out that Americans and Brits spell defense differently. So Americans spell it with an S and Brits with the C. So that's why if you are British watching this, it looks spelled incorrectly, but that is how we Americans do it. So this is important. Go to even more important than funding the Citizens Defense for Israel. We want to make sure that this unit is outfitted as soon as possible, because they are risking their lives on a daily basis. And there's a bunch of new guys, and they need equipment right now. We didn't mean for it to be a fundraiser for them, but that is an imminent need. So with all that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Again, here's the link to join the podcast on YouTube. Here, let's just make some magic real quick. And where's that link? I lost it. Okay, here it is. Sorry. This is the Israel Defense Podcast. Make sure you join us on YouTube, and you can hear more about what's actually going on in Israel from the security and defense perspective. So talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Thank you so much for your help. Again, donate to Unit 7037.